Right, guys, we're bringing the next act directly to the stage. His name is Jack Hester, so go wild and crazy now. And welcome to the stage, Jack Hester.
How we doing, guys? Give me a cheer if you're drinking. Hey, brilliant stuff. When I was growing up in Ireland, my dad owned a pub, right? And I used to work in this pub, and I was working there one day, and there was two alcoholics having one of those fucked up conversations that they have, right? One guy goes to the other guy, if you had to choose between getting Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, which would you choose, right? And the guy thought about it for a second and he went, I'd pick Parkinson's because I could live with spilling me drink, but I'd hate to forget where I left it. But my dad was also a politician. And when I was younger, I wanted to be a politician, and I learnt all the tricks of politics, right? The first trick is you have to pretend you're a normal person, right? So that's why Boris messes up the hair. He's like, look at me, I'm a fucking idiot. I don't know how to brush my hair, right? But David Cameron was a bit more subtle. He was a bit more of a master of this game. He used to pretend to watch football, and he used to pretend to like Game of Thrones, right? Utter bullshit, right? But Theresa May, God fucking love her. She was terrible at it. Do you remember what she said when she was asked what was the naughtiest thing she ever did? And she said she ran through a fucking field. That is not relatable in modern Britain. That is not relatable in Elizabethan fucking Britain. She should have said that one New Year's Eve, she snorted a line of ketamine, thinking it was cocaine, and she ended up in a K-hole for the countdown. And then the whole country be like, oh, would you look? She's just like the rest of us. Can you imagine if someone had asked Henry VIII what was the naughtiest thing he had ever done? He'd have been like, fucked Anne Boleyn in the Tower of London after I cut her head off. And the whole of England would have been like, oh my God, the king is just like the rest of us. But my dad was also an undertaker, and when he retired, I said to him, did you ever fuck up a funeral? And he said he once did a funeral on a Tuesday morning, and there was 10 people at it, and he got home and he got that feeling you get, you know that feeling where you're like, I've forgotten something. And then he remembered he forgot to pick up the widow and bring her to the funeral. And I said to him, what did you do? And he goes, what the fuck do you think I did? I dug that man back up. And I buried him again the next day. And I said to him, had you any trouble getting the priest to life you? And he goes, the priest was fucking loving it. Started the second funeral by saying, it seems like only yesterday. But I didn't become a politician or an undertaker or a publican. I became a pharmacist, you know. And people always said to me, oh, doing comedy and working in the pharmacy, you must get loads of material in the pharmacy. And I'm like, are you fucking mental? Like a typical day for me is I'll go into work and someone be like, you know so-and-so. And I'd be like, yeah. And they'd be like, well, she died. Cancer. And then some dude will come in and he'll be like, can you measure my blood pressure? I was in Tesco a couple of weeks ago. I collapsed. And I woke up 3 days later with a massive scar down my chest where I had major surgery. Am I meant to look at all this and be like, fucking hell? the jokes just write themselves. But we got Valentine's Night coming up. Give me a cheer if you're on a date. I was reading this thing in the Metro the other day, right, down in London, and it was about dating. I was in the Metro, you know, you read the Metro and you're like, is this shit true? You can never fucking tell if it's true, right? And it was about dating, and it said that when women go on a first date, their number one fear is that they will get murdered. Is that true, girls? Yeah, a couple of years. Do you know what men's number one fear on a first date was? That the woman would be overweight. Isn't that fucking horrific, isn't it? I was reading this though, and all I was thinking was, I haven't had sex with a man, but it must be pretty fucking amazing that you're all willing to risk murder for it. But men are bastards. Men are bastards, right? Because you think of all the bad things men do to women, and then to have the fucking gall to show up on a first date and be all like, oh my God, I hope this bitch isn't fat. Oh, honestly, if you are a woman and you do not hate men, I can't respect you. If I was a woman, I would be in a terrorist organisation just running around shooting cocks off. I'd be like, objectify this motherfucker. But I was always into girl power because I was a teenager when the Spice Girls came out, you know? And they just got me at that impressionable age, you know? A lot of people didn't realise this. Spice Girls were fucking huge in Ireland. There was years, if you asked anyone in Ireland, what's your favourite song? They would have said When Two Becomes One. Because we all thought it was about the reunification of Ireland. But working in healthcare, you deal with a lot of elderly people, right? And you have to be careful with elderly people. Because I recently went on a first date, and an old woman recognised me from work, and she came up to me on my date, and she put her hand on my shoulder, and she went, Jesus, I nearly didn't recognise you there, with your clothes on. Now what she meant was, she didn't recognise me with my non-work clothes on. But the fucking damage was done. Have you ever tried to convince someone you don't fuck grannies? Half an hour of denying it, I started to doubt myself. I was like, maybe I did fuck her. But is anyone else paranoid that their phone is listening to them? Yes. Ever since I started joking about not fucking granny, I can't watch porn on my phone. Because when I load it up, it comes up, the following videos have been suggested for your viewing. And I'm like, why the fuck would I want to watch Nursing Home Orgy 4 when I haven't seen 1, 2, or 3 yet? But I'll leave you this one, right? I recently had my first professional headline comedy gig. And I proper fucked it up, right? It was in the Irish Centre in Hammersmith, and I imagined an audience of drunken Irish builders. And I thought to myself, I am going to go in there and blow the fucking roof off these stupid fuckers. And I jumped up on the stage, and it was a room full of grannies. And I panicked. I said the C word 4 times before I realised there was 2 nuns in the front row. And the minute I finished, all the grannies ran to the bar to down double gin and tonics. And the woman running the place came up to me and was like, "Were you the little fella doing all the cursing?" And I was like, "Yeah, I fucking was." And she goes, "You have to come back." And I was like, "What?" And she goes, "We haven't sold that much fucking gin since St. Patrick's Day." But besides the point, they all come in to see you because there's a rumour going around. I'm in Jack Hester, thank you!
Hester, everybody!